Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, friends, to another broadcast. I pray that this video reaches you in the best of conditions. Alhamdulillah for this beautiful faith that we have. When you think about the world today, it would be very easy to say that the world is in a crisis of conscience. It's so sad when you look at media outlets and the newspapers and a lot of the programs on television and in movies. There's always one ongoing theme. The theme is these people are trying to normalize bad behavior. I'm sure you will agree with me. You watch movies. What do you see? Bad behavior. You watch television shows. What do you see? Children behaving bad towards their parents. Bad behavior is the new in thing. We are truly living in times where good is considered bad and bad is considered good. It's very sad. A friend of mine was saying the world is getting crazier. I said, the world isn't getting crazier, it's people that's getting crazier. I mean, some of the things that are going on out there, if you don't see it with your own eyes, you would never believe it. But everything is smack dab in the middle, right there, for you and I to see. It's insane. And a lot of us, I'm sure we can agree that most of these things that are occurring have probably been occurring for decades and decades. But what's the difference? Now you have internet, social media, the technology. Today is so different from when it was back in the day. So you didn't hear much about it, even though a lot of stuff was happening. But now we are bombarded left and right with information. So you hear about it constantly. Bad behavior is condoned in Islam. It's not acceptable. We are admonished to purify our thinking, to purify our hearts. We are commanded to live a good and clean life. So for a Muslim, there is no place in their life for bad behavior. People out in society may want to normalize it all they want, and they may try to shove it down our throats. But never will we accept it. Never. Because to do so would be to contaminate ourselves. And I don't know anybody who would willfully want to contaminate themselves. We try to live our lives in the best of conditions. Clean heart, clean mind, clean tongue. There's nobody out there who would ever be in harm's way in the company of a Muslim. Never. But we are in this world. We can't get out of it. And we are surrounded by all of this bad behavior. that society tries to tell us, oh, it's normal. It's for the times that we are living in. Haram. Haram. Bad. Bad thinking. It's like they want to feed us something. They want to catch us hook, line, and sinker. Take us down with the rest of them. But we as Muslims, we know, we know that the sun does not rise in the west and set in the east. We are not fools. And we will not be taken for a fool's ride. We are taught by the Quran and through the Hadiths how to live our lives, to be decent, to be clean, to be hardworking, to be respectful. And then we're going to have society come and tell us how we are supposed to live. And I know there's a lot of Muslims out there that have a bit of fear in them that, oh, well, if I don't go with their way of thinking, then I'm going to be an outcast. Well, let me tell you something. Better to be an outcast than to go into the fire with the rest. Especially here in this country where I live, everything is about political parties. And I am not a political person. I don't get involved with it all. My trust is in Allah, not in this political system. I respect the laws that are put in place. They're put there by means of Allah. So I respect them as long as they don't interfere with my faith. But I know there's some people that they are fearful that if they don't go along with this certain way of thinking, that they will be ostracized. Better to be ostracized. I'd rather have the world hate me than to have Allah hate me and what I do. Well, I should rephrase that because Allah will never hate us, but He hate the bad that we do. He will hate the bad that we do. We don't want that. We want to always be pleasing to Allah because we love Allah. And Allah loves us and expects us to be obedient, to be submissive. So again, while the world is trying to normalize bad behavior, we as Muslims, we have no part of it. And in this day and age, especially if we have children, we have to be so vigilant with our children because this world is just seeking to devour them, to take them on a path that is destructive. It's trying to do that with us as adults. But alhamdulillah that we as adults, we have a level of maturity to understand, but our children don't. And the world sees them as vulnerable and innocent. These people pushing these crazy agendas. They see our children as vulnerable and innocent. So now they want Samir to become Samira. It's crazy out there. They're trying to push narratives into our lives that we cannot agree with. Your truth. My truth. What is that? There is no such thing as your truth and my truth. There's only the truth. The truth. And if you don't like the truth, you can't go around changing it just because you don't like it. Like many people, they don't like certain things that have happened in history. So they try to clean it. Get rid of it. What is that? History is there for a reason. We may not like what happened in the past, but it happened. And there's something to learn from it. Something that is there to help us to be better. Just because we don't like something about history doesn't give us the right now to go and erase it. It's crazy what is going on out there. And I don't know how it is in your part of the world, but I'm speaking here from America. And there's a lot of issues, I'm sure, everywhere. And everybody has their challenges that they have to deal with and their difficulties. But this video is mainly for us as parents who have children, because our children are vulnerable out there. They're going to the schools. They have their friends. And you don't know what their friends are sharing with them. You don't know. Next thing you know, your child is coming home from school talking all kinds of things that you didn't teach them, and you're thinking, my God, Allah, where did they get this from? Get it from out there. And the political system here is trying very hard to get young people to conform to a way that is not normal. They encourage it. But that's why we as Muslims, alhamdulillah, that we have the guidance of the Quran, and we have the guidance of the hadiths, we have the sunnah to help us so that we can raise our children to be decent, law-abiding, honorable, respectful, honest human beings. I don't care what the world out there is preaching. I don't care. If I know that something is beneficial from it, then alhamdulillah. But if I know that there's nothing beneficial from it and that there's only haram, then I don't want no part of it. We don't want to be hoodwinked by society. And you just never know what is lying around the corner. You don't know. That's why we have to be vigilant. We have to be strong in our faith. We have to build solid roots in our faith, not only for ourselves, but for our loved ones, our children. Every day we send our children out there into the world, they are easy targets for all of this baloney, this nonsense that is being taught out there. And there are certain groups of people that they want their rights. Alhamdulillah, have your rights. But your rights should not infringe on my rights, because I have rights too. So again, the world trying to normalize bad behavior. We as Muslims will have no part of that. No part of it. And those of you out there, take courage. Take courage. Because in order to do good in the world, to be a source of good, it takes courage. Because there's not many people who take the difficult path of good. Because it does take courage. And many people don't have that. They are afraid, so they just go along with the crowd. But as believers, we don't go along with the crowd. If somebody is doing haram, we can't accept that. Can't. Good has nothing to do with bad. It's like oil and water. They don't mix. Oil and water does not mix. Good and bad does not mix. If you're trying to live a good life, you keep the bad as far away from you as possible. So again, this world, in trying to normalize bad behavior, we as Muslims, we have nothing to do with it. And we need to keep alert. Because these narratives that are being pushed out there, they're getting more and more and more, to the point where you can't escape it, because it's everywhere you turn. And the only thing that is going to keep you from being contaminated by all of this nonsense out there is your Islam. The only thing. And inshallah, we are doing our best. We are doing our best to apply all that we know about this precious faith into our lives and into the lives of our children. Because our lives depend on it. Our spirituality depends on it. And I pray that Allah protect us all and keep us all safe. And keep us on the road that is difficult. Because it's difficult for a reason. Because it takes courage to stay on that road of doing good and being good. The other road, the bad road, is the easy road. It's spacious. There's no obstacles. Anyone can go through it. But we know where that road is leading to. Leads off to destruction. The hellfire. We don't want that. I pray that Allah keep us safe and guide us to the right path that pleases Him. May we always be thankful for this faith and never take it for granted, because it really is a protection for us and our family. Until we meet again, my beloved brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.